An undrafted free agent is expected to make some noise on the Chicago Bears defensive line next season as a rotational piece. We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus a veteran acquisition that it's said that the Bears could be on the phone to make. We're going to get into all that plus a mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Terry Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's get it. So I want to talk about it today. This one came out of an article, and it talked about the Bears and an undrafted free agent on that defensive line actually making some noise and could possibly be the reason why another young player is actually pushed out of the Chicago Bears roster, and that's Keith Randolph Jr. This is an undrafted rookie acquisition. I think that was still on draft night by the Chicago Bears. It's a player that they actually gave a full contract to on top of that. So at the bare minimum, he's probably going to be on the practice squad. But Keith Randolph Jr. apparently is making some big noise with the Chicago Bears, and the Bears are looking at him to come in and be somebody that can make that final roster and help push that defensive line to an area. Direct quote here saying the Bears defensive line is still thin. It's reasonable to expect to add another reliable rusher by training camp, with old friend Yannick Ngakoue appearing to be the top option. On the interior, I'm going to give the final spot to undrafted rookie Keith Randolph Jr. Bears need another body at defensive tackle, and Randolph might be their best option. This one comes from Josh Schrock, by the way, so make sure I give him his props over there at NBC Chicago. But when it comes down to it, I mean, Keith Randolph Jr., when you look at his experience, his collegiate resume, it's really good. He's a big body. He's strong. He understands what to do. When you look at over the course of his collegiate career, 159 total tackles, 71 of those being solo, 88 assisted, and 10 sacks, all of those coming over the course of the last 3 years. When you look at in 2021, he had 4 sacks. In 2022, 4.5 sacks. And in 2023, he only had 1.5 sacks, but he only played 10 games as well. Keith Randolph Jr. is a guy that if he can stay healthy, he has the body, he has the size, he has all the physical makeup of somebody that you can expect making some noise and at least being a depth piece. 6'5", 300 pounds. Again, played at Illinois. He's from Belleville, Illinois as well. With that, and this is another guy who grew up rooting for the Bears. Not that that matters, right? When it comes down to it, I want talent. I don't care if they grew up rooting for the Packers. No, that may be that's pushing it. That's pushing it. No Packers fans growing up. But other than that, I don't care where they came from. But ultimately, Keith Randolph Jr. is there. And we've talked about how Billings and Javon Dexter are there expected to make a leap on that interior defensive line. Other than that, the Bears, they brought in a veteran, right? But Keith Randolph Jr. is a young piece that could make some noise for the Chicago Bears. So keep a lookout for Keith Randolph Jr. as we go through training camp, especially with like Hard Knocks, things like that. This could be a storyline on seeing an undrafted rookie make the final roster for the Chicago Bears, doing so by pushing and, proving himself to be a depth piece. I'm not going to call any crazy type acquisition or numbers or anything for him or anything like that, but if he can prove as an undrafted free agent to be a depth piece as well and to add some pressure on that defensive line, I think that bodes well for the Bears in the long run. But other than that, right, before we get into the mailbag, I want to talk about CBS Sports. This one comes from Tyler Sullivan, and he talked about Shaquille Leonard and how he is still waiting for calls from NFL teams. He talked about the Bears potentially being an option there, saying this: he could be a solid depth piece at the position and does have a relationship with Matt Eberflus. The Chicago coach was Indy's defensive coordinator when Leonard entered the league in 2018 and was on hand throughout the pinnacle of his career. While Eberflus shouldn't expect to get the same player he coached in Indy, Leonard does provide a familiar face who they be very comfortable within his defense. And that is a big part. When you're looking at depth pieces, right, getting somebody who's familiar with the system is key there. And a veteran, too, in Shaquille Leonard, who I think is 28 years old. So still not like he's over the age or anything. There are some injury concerns, right? Especially when you look at it. His last 3 seasons, in 2022, 3 games. He played 9 games for Indy last year and then 5 games for Philly as well, so a total of 14 games there. But he's been relatively healthy for the most part of his career. 13, 15, 14, 16 games played. That one season of only playing 3 games, and then 14 total in 2023. This is a guy who still is, even as last year, had pretty decent numbers when you look at it. He had 46 total tackles, in last season, a total of almost 90 tackles as well at 88 tackles in that time, 1 sack. So again, as a depth piece, a veteran piece that understands the system and how and where he needs to be, I wouldn't mind that. Still, Noah Sewell is somebody that we're hoping shows an ability to play more as that depth piece for the Chicago Bears next year. So I would love that to take the priority. But if you do end up needing some depth there, maybe Leonard ends up being that. It's an interesting article to write on. I don't know if really we're worried about linebackers right now. Kind of edge is kind of the most important thing, and then maybe some offensive linemen, depending on what happens with Nate Davis, things like that. I'm still holding out hope for Connor Williams, right? When you look at potential people that the Bears could add during training camp, Unique Ngakoue is going to be up there. Having an opportunity to bring him in a different role now that we have Montez Sweat is intriguing. And then, of course, Connor Williams. Those are my two picks that I would love to see the Bears, if they're going to add some veteran presence, add those two guys. I kind of prefer Connor Williams more, even if we had to get between that and Unique Ngakoue. I know that the getting pressure is kind of the most pressing thing, but I think Connor Williams can just help so much if he's going to be healthy on that offensive line. And I want to keep our quarterback healthy. So that's kind of my thought process on it. But you guys can let me know what you guys think, of course, down below. But it is Friday. That means it's Mailbag Day here at Chicago Bears Central. We got 4 voicemails we're going to bring to you guys today. The first one, this one's from Big Steve.
Cognac Boys, what's up? Big Steve, Los Angeles. I want to get your take on this. I hear a lot of people saying Eberflus going to finish out his contract. I think he got 2 years left on it. I respect that. My concern is if they if they don't win as many games as they won last year with even less amount of talent, his job should be on the line, regardless of that other year that he has left on his contract. I just want to get your feedback on that, because you hear a lot of people saying with this new team, he's going to be able to complete his contract. And I respect that. I hope he do. I hope he's successful. I want to win. I'm tired of losing. But if he can't pull off them 7 or 9 games, it should have been 10. But them 7 games this season, even though we have a rookie quarterback, there's a lot more talent on this team. Should he be entitled to hold on to his position as head coach? I see Waldron stepping up, taking over. Look forward to hearing what you brothers got to say about that. Love you, brother. Chi-Town up, bear down.
Listen, Matt Eberflus is most likely to finish his contract. I think when you brought in a new staff, things like that, you're going to give him some time. And I would say this, there's even a slim possibility if the Bears do take a step back because of all the changes, and if injuries play a part, whatever, that he's back regardless. But there is also a world in which if the Bears have a huge letdown season, you mentioned having less wins than last season with a less talented team, or even having just a disappointment season, 4 wins, things like that. I do think that Matt Eberflus's seat is going to get hotter as the season goes on if the Bears are struggling at that level. Now, let's hope that that's not the case. I think there's more than enough talent here. Like you said, in the growth, you want to see wins become that. And that is the thing that I think is the judging the overall team the most, right, is how many wins do we get? Of course, we have our other things. What's the growth of Caleb like over this time? Is he acclimating? How does the offense look? What steps have players on the defense made as well, like of having Montez Sweat for this whole season? So there are other things that we're looking for during the season. But overall, the thing that I think is going to make or break this whole season does come down to wins. How many football games are you winning? Are you pushing for a postseason appearance, things like that? So I'm not going to say that Matt Eberflus is safe just regardless, right? I'd never say that. I do think more likely than not he's going to be safe. But, yeah, that seat could get hot if the Bears struggle and completely struggle down the stretch. But like you said, let's hope that doesn't happen. Like, I hope that we are so successful that that's not even something that we're thinking about, is worried about whether we keep this coaching staff together or not. I hope that the Bears are playing good enough and especially finishing the season strong enough to where we're just excited about building off of it next season. Let's hope that that's the case. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Fred.
Yo, Hayes, what up, man? It's your boy Fred. Hey, man, I was reading some on Google, you know what I'm saying, and they were talking about Tariq Stevenson, and they were saying how he got a little similarity to Jalen Johnson, but they were saying he could surpass him, though. Normally, I don't read it on Google. I just happened to click on it while I was at work, and I just was reading to see what they was talking about. So, you think that Tariq Stevenson can pass Jalen Johnson as far as, like, interceptions and Pro Bowls, all that, you know what I'm saying? Because sky is the limit for him. You know, like, you think he can be that next top-tier corner that we got on this team? And you know what I'm saying, like you think like, you know, if whoever our edge rusher is and that D line, whoever the tackles is, whether it's Dexter and Philistine or whether it's, you know, Dexter and Pickens, you think our D line will get more pressure and getting back there, you know, on the quarterback so our secondary can be the best secondary in the league? Because I don't see why not. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to upgrade at safety. While people talking that was a bad sign about the Bears for us getting fired, that was a way better fucking upgrade, better than Eddie Jackson. That man could tackle and he, you know what I'm saying, get interceptions. And we needed that. Then we got Briscoe who say we ain't seen the best of him yet. I hope we get the best of him this season and he can get some interceptions right along with Kyle Gordon as well. Because I want to see our secondary be the best goddamn secondary in the league. Not only just our secondary, our linebackers, which, you know, people do forget about Jack Sanborn, because Jack Sanborn is a dog. I think Jack Sanborn going to have him a good training camp as well. I think his hands going to be better so he can get interceptions too. Because people be, you know, forgetting about Jack. You know, they talk about Tremaine and, you know, TJ Edwards and everything. So I think our defense going to be all right, though. If Nate Davis do come back, honestly, I don't think he deserved to be a starter on that O-line because some guys be putting that work. Because that's just like, you know, you come get a, you know what I'm saying, you know, job with it. You putting the work in, all of a sudden they bring a shitty worker back or whatever, though, to take the position that you learned, though. So I'm hoping that O-line be, you know, good enough to protect Caleb and open them holes up for them running backs. And people keep forgetting about Roschon. I won't be surprised if Roschon get close to 1,000 yards on that ground as well, too. So, yeah, I'm calling it, though, man. I think both our I think Swift going to have 1,000-yard Pro Bowl season. I think Roschon probably going to get about maybe 800-900. You know, I won't be surprised if he get 1,000 yards as well. So, I'm just looking forward to the season, though, man. So, let me know what you think, man. Chicago up, bear down enough.
Can Tyreek Stevenson surpass Jalen Johnson? That's actually a great question there, bro. Like, that is a great question. Here's the thing. I think that as a ball hawk, somebody who forces takeaways, yes, Tyreek Stevenson can pass up Jalen Johnson in that. I think he can be better at his career earlier than what Jalen Johnson was. I think all those things are happening. He's a good tackler, things like that. But it's a good question to have because we got Jalen Johnson locked in. And if Tyreek Stevenson continues his rise up and Kyler Gordon, hey, that's a great problem to have. But I do think that there is a world in which Tyreek Stevenson could end up better in some aspects than Jalen Johnson. In coverage, things like that, Jalen may always be better, but I do think that ultimately, yeah, Tyreek Stevenson can be strong at areas where Jalen Johnson is weaker at. And that's my answer. Is it a political one? Absolutely. But it's an answer. Take that. With that said, as far as the line getting more pressure, that's the goal, right? Is that having a full now training camp period with Montez Sweat, Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens making big steps up. You know, just overall the defensive line having more continuity and kind of understanding how they felt and building off what they did last season. Hopefully that all contributes to the Bears getting tons of more pressure. And like you said, it helps the pass coverage. The pass rush and the pass coverage have a synergistic relationship. They help each other out. And that's what we hope to see with this team is that the secondary makes the job easier on the defensive line and vice versa. And overall, like the linebackers that contribute to that as well. Let's hope that we get a defense that is completely in rhythm with each other. That could make this defense great. Now, as far as Sanborn, I mean, listen, one thing that we have not talked about as much as the other people, like we've talked about Tevin Jenkins being in the contract year. I've talked about Khalil Herbert being in the contract year. Jack Sanborn is also in the contract year. And considering that as an undrafted free agent, the Bears have always found linebackers at some point. Now, well, he's an undrafted free agent, but so I do think that either way, there is value in bringing Jack Sanborn back, even if you do find a starting level linebacker in the draft or something like that. Noah Sewell takes a big leap. That there's more than enough upside to Jack Sanborn to keep him on this team as a player that maybe can be a depth piece. Let's hope they can still be a starter. But yeah, Jack Sanborn has a big season in front of him too. A really important season because he also is a free agent at the end of the season. And if he doesn't step up or gets injured or, you know, leaves any room for the Bears to think, hey, maybe we can upgrade. TJ Edwards and Tremaine were good. Maybe we can upgrade that other linebacker spot. Could get interesting there. So let's hope. You know, Jackson, we were one of the first shows on Jack Sanborn. Shout out to C-Dub there. We noticed him in the preseason. I think it was like the first preseason game. Like, hey, that kid's hustling. And so, yeah, to see Jack Sanborn's rise has been great. And, yeah, hopefully he gets to stay here around Chicago, and I hope that he has a big season. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one is from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas here. Just calling in to talk about them trenches again, man. You know I love it. I was looking at this board, looking at some Amagaje film, and I think the kid could probably play some guard, man. And I know a lot of people already came to that conclusion too. But now that we've pretty much came to for sure, we all kind of understand that Davis ain't gonna be there. Let's just go and get him out the way. Man, Amagaji might have the size to go ahead and start at that right guard, worst case scenario. I like Bates at center with big old Amagaji right there next to him, man. I think that's a nasty interior when you're talking about Tevin Jenkins, and Bates. And then you got big Amagaji over there. You want your interior to be some big, strong, mauling motherfuckers. That's what you want. And I think, working him in right there, could do him some good. Make him a little bit more versatile too. So, I think, be on the lookout for that in training camp, man. Don't be surprised if Amagaji slides on in there as a starting guard. Also, man, I kind of wanted to talk about Tevin a little bit because I thought, I kind of had a thought about it. I said, man, he's kind of like our modern day Kyle Long in the sense of he's got raw talent and he's a big, massive athlete. And when coaches get that, man, they bounce him around. Say, okay, man, he's technically good enough to play right tackle. Oh, well, let's try him at left. Oh, let's try him at right guard. Oh, let's try him at left guard. And then we wonder why he can't stay healthy. So I think, I'm going to call myself out here a little bit. I might have been a little bit too hard on Tevin, when I look at it from that perspective because, man, it is not easy to keep going, to bounce all over the line like that. He came in at right tackle, moved him to left for a little bit, moved him to right, had some success, moved him to left, had some success, and that's hard for an offensive lineman, man, to build up all this muscle memory that you need for one position. And then they throw you and switch you over at another one. Now you got to build that muscle memory for that position too. And that's how guys end up getting hurt. And that's what happened to Kyle Long. He was switching a different position almost every off season, and he had to rebuild that new muscle memory at each position. And he could never stay healthy because of that. So I think that Tevin's injuries are more so our fault. I feel like had we just kept him at right guard and left him alone, he'd been fine. I think when you keep moving guys like that, man, you make it harder for them to build up that muscle memory to be good at one spot. But let me know what you think about that. Text us up, bear down.
Kieran. So Kieran came in as a guard / tackle. And so I like the Bears. That's one thing that the Bears did this offseason that I have really liked personally is how they added offensive linemen that all can play multiple positions, whether it's guard and center, tackle and guard. They signed a lot of people who can play multiple positions. And so because of that, it adds some fluidity to that. And especially if you do get players hurt, find the right combination, things like that. So I think as Kieran grows and the skill level grows as well, he's going to be able to be whatever coaches need him to be. I think that's a safe bet. He's going to be whatever this team needs him to be. And I'm not mad at that. I think we got a really good value out of Kieran, that draft selection with Kieran. It's just a question of how much is he going to be able to help out in year one. And even if he doesn't play a lot in year one, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, that doesn't put a cap on his future overall. Now, as far as Tevin, and you said his biggest issue as far as is not having one position. I get what you're saying as far as you learning the muscle memory, all it sounds good, but ultimately that's not what is causing your body to get hurt. Tevin Jenkins has an injury history. He had that coming into the league. So I don't think moving up and down is the biggest reason that causes injuries. I'm not saying that it can't contribute, but I don't think that's the biggest thing. Tevin has had injury concerns his whole entire career and in college. He's just has been a player that's always had some injury concerns. So, but hopefully he finds a way to solve that this season because I would love for Tevin Jenkins to stay around here. He just has to stay on the football field. And if he can stay on the football field, then it makes that question a lot easier for the Bears on whether they're going to pay Tevin or not. See what comes of it. All right, let's get into this last voicemail. This one's from Milton.
Yo, Chicago Bears Central. This is Milton, the real Dark Knight calling from Virginia Beach, Virginia again. Hey, Bobby, T-Dub, Steve-O, Big Kel, what's up to y'all, man? But hell, I just wanted to voice my concern about our team. I definitely want to talk about, us getting into the playoffs, like I relayed on my last call. Yeah, it'd be great if we could make it into the playoffs, but I'm just going to keep it real with you. We got to start winning more of our division games. I've noticed that every single season, and especially with them bastard rat Packers over in Green Bay. It just seems like every time the season starts and that's like the first game and the last game of the season that we play, that's an automatic 2 losses right there. I don't know what it is about Chicago and Green Bay. It's not even I don't consider it a rivalry anymore. It's more like them coming over there bitch slapping us every single time we go out of there, and especially when Aaron Rodgers was still there. And even when he left, you would expect, okay, Chicago, we could beat up on them now that Aaron Rodgers is gone and Jordan Love is taking over. No, we do the exact opposite and lose both of those games. I can't stand that. It just irks me. We can't get into the doggone playoffs. We got to win our divisional games first. And a lot of people say, yeah, we're going to playoffs. We're going to take the North back and all this. I get all of that. But at the same time, we got to be realists. I'm a realist when it comes to a lot of these games. We got to win our divisional games, and especially against those damn Packers. I cannot stand the Packers, seriously. And especially the Lions and the Vikings. I'm not saying they're no slouches either, but we're the basement dwellers of the NFC North, and we can't get our act together. And yeah, Eberflus, he tried to turn his defense around. It's like, yeah, turn the defense around and start winning these games too. And I'm just gonna put it out there. We got to start winning more of our divisional games. And then the second thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. My thing is, like you said, the O-line, especially, I'm talking to you, Nate Davis. You need to get your head out of your ass and get out there and start practicing so we can start winning these games. And Tevin Jenkins, he's not off the hook yet. And anybody else on that O-line that figures they want to be slouching, they better step up their game, man, because we do not have the time for this. We're trying to win championships. Okay, we ain't giving you no leniency because you got hurt or whatever the case is. Yes, you lost a family member. We, sympathize with you, but at the same time, you need to bring your ass to work and, do what you got to do. But, this is Milton, the Real Dark Knight from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Hey, Steve, Bobby, Steve-O, Big Cal, shout out to y'all. Keep doing what y'all doing there in Chi-Town. Chicago Bears up and down, bear down. Do your thing. I'm out.
Milton, I agree. Listen, there's nothing more than the petties. You saw the shirt like a week ago when I said I hate the Packers. And yes, I would love to see the Bears win more in the division, but let's keep it in mind. The Bears beat every team in the division at least once except the Packers last year. You can still make the playoffs without beating the division, without winning winning against all your games in the division, right? Yes, I want to see us get more because I'm petty and I hate every other team in the NFC North. So, of course, I want us to. But I think overarchingly, the most important thing is getting wins. And we can have a playoff berth, a wild card berth, without winning our division, without necessarily winning out, beating the Packers. But to make no mistake about it, let's beat those Packers every day long. And I love that you said, it's not even a rivalry yet or lately. And listen, that's fair. It sucks that it's not a rivalry lately. But let's hope that we're starting to correct that ship. And let's beat those goddamn Packers, man. Let's beat the Packers. And let's show that we belong in this division and that you can't sleep on the Chicago Bears in the NFC North. Eventually, yes, we want to take the North and never give it back. But more importantly than taking the North right now, I would love to see this team win football games overall and get to at least a wild card berth. If we don't necessarily win within our division like we want to, but we still get that wild card, I'm still taking that. I'm happy with that. But of course, we want to win that division. And ultimately, yeah, we want the teams in the division to realize we're back to the Bears and you don't want to face the Bears. It's not, even if you do say you don't you're not going to fear us right away, right? But it's going to be a difficult matchup when you face the Chicago Bears in the NFC North. And we're in a division that's going to be really competitive this year, I think, as well. So yeah, hopefully we do win more divisional games this year. The fact that we don't play our first divisional game until after the midway point of the season is crazy. And we're going to get a lot of divisional games all bunched in there in over the last month or so of the season. So that's going to, of course, be fun to watch. But Milton, thank you for leaving that voicemail, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's our time for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You guys can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.